We're in Old Brookland section of Cleveland. We'll be taking the 35 bus to Detroit and West 25th, and then we'll be catching the 26 to Lakewood on Detroit Road. This will take us about an hour and a half. Would be about a 20-minute car ride. Hello, sir. Good, thank you.
Hi, my name is Phil Waters, and we're here at ClevelandMoto. ClevelandMoto is an interesting shop because we started life as a motor scooter shop, and over the years we've been doing more and more with motorcycles. We started with scooters, we started with Vespas, Kymcos, Genuines, and the quality scooter brands, and over the past probably 8 or 10 years we've been filtering more and more motorcycles into the mix. So now we're a full range Moto Guzzi dealer, and we also do Royal Enfield motorcycles. We've been working on vintage Japanese motorcycles since we started. We just didn't make that part of our signage. The biggest volume that we do by far is vintage motorcycle service. So over the course of a normal year, we'll work on between 300 and 500 vintage motorcycles. That's everything from motor rebuilds to total restorations. We also do a thriving business with, tires and brakes and maintenance and service. The interesting thing in our market in Cleveland, there's been a strong push away from the $50,000 jewelry and the choppers. That has lost a lot of its traction in the past 3 years because people can't afford it anymore. So the $1,000 or sub-$1,000 motorcycles on Craigslist and eBay have got a new lease on life in Cleveland. So we see a lot of those bikes coming into our dealership. They're coming in sometimes for very simple things, rebuild 4 carburetors. Sometimes it's the bike that should have never been sold, and it's been hiding in a barn for 30 years for good reason. So with our crew, we run about 8 employees. We have 2 locations. We run 3 employees at one shop and 5 at the other. Right now we're standing in the bigger of the 2 locations. This is 5,000 square feet per floor, and we have 2 floors. We have service area in the back that we can service 6 lifts, so we have space for 6 bikes standing. And we also have enough room upstairs to have warehouse for millions of dollars worth of inventory. We do keep Honda parts back to the mid-60s. So that's kind of our bread and butter, is the mid-60s, mid-70s Hondas. We kind of lose interest, I think, when everyone else does, about 1981, 1982. Things got a little weird, and we don't see a lot of those bikes coming in. Do see a lot of maintenance on that kind of stuff, but it's not what gives us passion. We really prefer those pre-78 Hondas. That lights us up, and then also doing cafe racers of old Moto Guzzis and things that makes us excited too. We started the business in 2000. We legally started as a business. I've been working out of my garage for many, many years before that, but in 2000 the state of Ohio became aware that I had transferred more titles than was legally allowed in the state of Ohio. You're allowed to do 6 per year. I think I did 6 in the first 2 months. So I was approached by the state of Ohio, who strongly encouraged that I become a licensed dealership. So we did. Prior to that, I had done work in my own garage. I've also worked at other dealerships as a mechanic. And once we became a dealership, then it was the hunt of going out and finding brands that you can sell on that very tiny amount of capital that you have. Nobody wants to hear, I want to be your dealer, but I have no money to buy your bikes. So it was a little bit of the work on 3 or 4 vintage bikes, sell 3 or 4, buy 4 or 5, sell 4 or 5, buy 6 or 7, and eventually grow your inventory up enough to the point where people will answer your telephone calls. So we started out with the scooters because the scooters are more approachable. It's much easier to become a motor scooter dealership than it is to become a motorcycle dealership. The first time that we were approached by a company like Triumph and they talked to us about carrying their product and we got to tell them no, that was a really cool feeling to be like, we know about your product and we are actually making the decision to not carry it. We never thought that, 13 years ago, 14 years ago, that we'd be telling Triumph that we didn't want to carry their product. We never thought we'd be approached by a company like Triumph to carry their product. It comes down to choosing products that you know that you can sustain as a dealer or as a mechanic, but more importantly, products that will sell in your area and that you know people will buy and that you can make enough money on them to stay in business, because the worst thing that I can do to my customers is go out of business. I've spent 13 or 14 years building a customer base. If I abandon those people next year because of bad decisions and I go out of business, then I have 14 years of people that have nowhere to go to get their bike serviced. And when you have vintage motorcycles or you have Italian European scooters, those aren't worked on at your local Harley shop or your local Honda shop. We do provide a service that not everyone else provides. So staying in business is more important than people realize. And the next time you think about ordering that helmet from Motorcycle Superstore, because it's such a good deal, remember that the guy down the street who does the service on your motorcycle twice or 3 times a year, he needs you to buy that helmet from him so he can stay open. If he goes out of business because all your people are buying their helmets at Motorcycle Superstore, you're not going to have anywhere to do the service on your bike next year. So unless you're ready to start doing it yourself, maybe spend the extra 20 bucks and support the guy who supports you. It's an easy thing to do. I know we're all excited about the internet and we love buying things on eBay. There's nothing more satisfying than making a large purchase on the toilet. But we want to make sure that we're supporting the people in our neighborhoods. You got to keep the local scene strong. And hopefully you have somebody in your local scene that is an enthusiast but also, provides these things for you. We do go out and ride with our customers. We go out and do bike nights all the time. We have a good time. We have a lot of people that circle together because of a love for a similar kind of bikes. But believe me, the second that this starts costing me more money than it's making me, I'm going to have to close my doors. I'm going to have to go out of business. That's just the rule of business. Not independently wealthy. Most people who own motorcycle shops are not independently wealthy. This is a great way to make $10,000 or $15,000 a year. And if you're willing to take a $10,000 or $15,000 a year paycheck, then running a motorcycle shop is the job for you. But mostly we get to surround ourselves with stuff like this, and you get to buy parts for the rest of your life at dead cost, and that's worth it right there. First time you buy an exhaust system for dead cost, you're going to be like, this is totally worth it. This was all worth becoming a dealer. Now there is a rivalry in the world between motorcycle riders and scooter riders. Now that rivalry is usually based just on ego. It's usually based on a guy going, oh no man, I don't want to get too close to that scooter, I might get A on me. That's not really what it is. Guys who ride motorcycles, who try a scooter, a good quality scooter, are usually impressed by how capable it is. They're usually impressed by how much fun and how practical they are. I can get 2 bags of groceries home on my scooter a hell of a lot easier than I can on my motorcycle. They're engineered for it. That rivalry that exists between the scooter crowd and the motorcycle crowd, well, a lot of that was based on some old British stuff from the 50s and 60s, where you had kids that were getting scooters because they were sexy Italian transportation, and you had guys that were getting motorcycles because it was sexy American style transportation. You're going to have rivalries there. But here in America, the rivalry is usually ego-based. We do the motorcycle show every year. That's 60,000, 70,000 people walking through our booth. And when we have the scooters in the booth, there's always some big Harley guy coming in going, hey Mark, there's a bike even you could ride, ha ha ha. And he's pointing at a scooter that costs $7,000 or $8,000, goes 85 miles per hour, gets 70 miles per gallon, and is better engineered than the Harley Davidson I'm sure that he's riding right now. But he doesn't know that. He's not knowledgeable about the scene or the history. There are scooter rallies that we go to every year that would make most Harley guys wet their pants out of sheer fear and intimidation. Motor scooter rally people who are vintage motor scooter enthusiasts, are some of the most hardcore, devoted riders I've ever met in my life. And on top of that, they got a skin as thick as a fucking elephant because they've been made fun of for the past 20 years of their life. So anytime I'm riding my Vespa around and somebody comes up to me and goes, "Get a real bike," I get off and kill them with my purse. You know, if I'm riding a 200cc scooter, I have nothing to fear. I'm obviously very confident when I'm riding a 200cc scooter around Cleveland, Ohio. So there is that cool thing, and that rivalry, we acknowledge it, but we also know that it's just paper thin, that the people that believe in it, or the people who go and make fun of a scooter, or the guy in the crotch rocket who pulls up next to you and makes some comment about your scooter, the guy who pulls up next to me on this motorcycle, a guy pulls up on a cool 50s panhead, pulls up next to me on my Vespa and goes, "That's a Vespa. I had one of those when I was in Vietnam." Or, "I had one of those when I was stationed in Europe. Those things are kick-ass." I get a big solid thumbs up from him. He's a real deal biker. He knows what a Vespa is. He realizes it's a real thing. And so sometimes when you get made fun of, consider the source of the person who's making fun of you. At our shop, you can't tell. If you wave at me in the morning coming into work on my 1500 plus, CC Harley Davidson, you wave to me coming in, if I'm going home on my Vespa at 150 cc's and you don't throw that hand up because, oh God, I don't want to wave at him, I might appear to be. No, if you don't wave at me and I know your bike, I'm going to give you the biggest, most flamboyant wave and make you look like an ass for not waving back. You can't judge the person based on the bike they're riding. I know some of the most interesting people I know have 4 or 5 bikes parked in the garage. And the people who are more interesting have 40 or 50 bikes parked in the garage. And I guarantee you there's some scooters in there, and there's some Honda 50s parked in there, and there's some Honda Passports back there that they go out and they ride and they have a good time riding them. Maybe even more fun than that big poser bike that's got all the scary going for it, got all the fringe and the chrome on it. So the scooter thing, yeah, if you're making fun of people who ride scooters, maybe some guy's out there earning the getting made fun of part. Maybe he's urkling it up a little too hard. Hey, he's having a good time. Let him have a great time. Let him enjoy it. His next bike might be the bike you're riding today, and you might have to pat him on the back someday. Man, I'm so glad you joined our club. You're the coolest guy I know. I'm so happy I didn't make fun of you when you were riding your little Yamaha Vino around the neighborhood. Everybody rides bikes. Everybody's into it the same way. The people that we should be poking fun at, the people we should be making fun of, are the people who let that motorcycle become too much a part of their identity, where they have nothing else. When you get a guy who his underwear say Harley on him, and his boots say Harley on him, and his alarm clock says Harley on it, and he lives his whole life to just feed money back into a brand name, those people deserve a little poking fun at. When you're living your life to support a brand, you're not really being you. You're not really growing your own identity. You're just living up to an image set forth for you by a company or a corporation. That's where I think we lose that phrase biker. And in Europe, I can call myself a biker because by European standards, I'm a biker. I ride motorcycles everywhere I go. By American standards, I am not a biker because I do not have a single Harley Davidson tattoo. So I'm not a biker here, but if I go to Europe, all of a sudden I'm a biker. I kind of like the way they look at it. Like they look at it a little better. Here, you say biker, people get an image of you, and I think most people don't want to be associated with that image. And when things go so mainstream, like Sons of Anarchy kind of stuff, when things go that mainstream that it's just literally painting yourself into a corner, it's good to have a little more personal identity than just identifying yourself with a particular brand. And yes, some people say it. Some people say, I'm a Ducati guy, or I'm a Harley guy, or I'm a Honda guy. Well, I'm a motorcycle guy, and I've got all of them, and I've got them all, and I love them all, and I don't shit on any one of them. The only thing I don't care for are unsafe, dangerous, or poorly built bikes. Anything else, I got a good spot in my heart for just about any other motorcycle there is. Just to wrap it up, everybody embrace your motorcycle identity. Embrace who you are. Do what you love to do, and don't care about if anybody laughs at you doing it. You're having more fun than they are anyway.
do some urban exploration. Andy knows of an old creamery building located between Old Brooklyn and Ohio City sections of Cleveland. And it looks like we saw from the road, it's an old building that says something creamery on the top. And it's been abandoned for quite a while, so we're hoping that we'll get access. We're going to get on the bus again. We're taking the bus while we're here. And get to the nearest drop-off that we know, and we'll see what happens. Oh, we're late for the party. This didn't take us where I thought it would. Wow. A lot of heat on the other side of this bridge. It has taken us a lot of walking to find how to get to this building. There's definitely a nice view of the skyline of Cleveland from this building. Before we got here, Andy sent me a video. I guess some builders or some building interest in creating a condominium platform out of this place. They were talking about keeping the industrial look of the building and not trying to box in all the put my gloves on and not try to box in all of the building. So see, Andy found a way in, so what's going on?
Some old homeless guy living in there. I just didn't want to, you know.
Did he see you?
I don't know. He said hello. Want to just walk around this guy over?
You think he said hello?
So,
We made it to the Fairmount Creamery company. I'm out of breath. We just got done walking around the back of the building and up a hill. There's really not any ways into this building. They're just open. And in fact, there was, I'm assuming they're a homeless gentleman and a woman. So we didn't film them, but we let them know we're just filming. They want to know if we were pleased, so we told them no. But we're going to see one more time around the building if we can get in. If we can't, we're going to move on to another building. There's got to be something around here with all this old industry and empty buildings, so we'll give it a shot next time. All right, we're here at the Craft factory building. It's an old building in Cleveland. It's most recently known as the Readmore Books building because someone tagged the top of the building Readmore Books. After striking out yesterday at the Fairmount Creamery, we're going to take a walk over here and see what this building's all about. So we didn't have a lot of time to research this particular building. I guess it was a textile manufacturing in the 30s. I want to say it was running until 97, but I'm not sure about that. I'll have to do a little more research later on. But I wanted to get some film of this building while I had the opportunity to. Like I said, it's most recently known as the Readmore Books building, which is pretty funny. I suppose I could have written a lot worse things. This building's on the west side of Cleveland. It's actually off West 44th Street exit. And it is wide open. Well, there's an old sign. Let's see if I can zoom in on that. So when we were reading up on this last night, some explorers had been here before, I guess many explorers actually, but one of the warnings was, I don't know if they're warnings, kind of like a scouting report, so to speak, that there are, be aware that there are a lot of homeless people in the area, and at night there have been reports of satanic rituals at this building. I don't know what that's all about. It's not nighttime. And fortunately, there's not a lot of people here today. In fact, I don't see anybody, which is always good for me.